Reports from American media are outlining a military operation that sounds like a scene from an action movie. Donald Trump is reportedly considering a plan to send American forces into Iran with a singular high-stakes objective: to literally steal the country's enriched uranium. This heist targets between 400 and 450 kilograms of highly enriched uranium, material that is the focus of intense global concern. The architects of this operation believe that physically removing this material from Iranian soil will serve as a definitive stopgap, stripping the nation of its immediate path to a nuclear weapon. While the idea of a physical heist seems extreme, it is being positioned as a final effort to solve a problem that is rapidly approaching a critical mathematical threshold. The urgency is fueled by specific intelligence claims. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu recently warned the international community that Iran has already stockpiled enough material to produce 9 nuclear bombs. Refining raw uranium from 0 to 60% is an agonizingly slow process, requiring years of specialized effort. But once past that 60% threshold, the final push to 90%, weapons-grade purity, takes only a few weeks. Iran has already built the infrastructure to reach this point and is currently holding a stockpile at that 60% purity level, just steps away from weapons capability. With the timeline shrinking from years to weeks, military planners view a physical heist as a way to seize the material before it can be further refined. But this strategy relies on a significant misunderstanding of the region's geopolitical ties. Executing this heist would require putting American boots on the ground in a hostile environment, tasked with locating and extracting radioactive material from heavily fortified sites. Even a successful extraction would not erase the underlying problem. Stealing the physical uranium does nothing to remove the scientific knowledge and technological blueprints that Iran's nuclear scientists already possess. Furthermore, a physical stockpile is easily replaced. If the current supply is seized, Iran's international allies are capable of providing the material needed to restart the process almost immediately. History shows how these networks function. Figures like Pakistan's A.Q. Khan proved that nuclear material and secrets can be trafficked through underground markets, bypassing even the strictest military interventions. A tactical military operation is ill-equipped to handle a problem that is distributed across a globally networked supply chain. Russian leadership is already signaling that they will not remain on the sidelines. Former President Dmitry Medvedev has stated that Iran will eventually achieve its nuclear goals, regardless of American military action. Russia currently controls massive stockpiles of its own enriched uranium. If the U.S. seizes Iran's 400 kilograms, a Russian cargo plane could land in Iran and replace the entire stockpile in a single night. Russia also benefits economically from the tension. The threat of war in the Middle East keeps global oil prices high, providing a constant stream of revenue to the Russian state. For Vladimir Putin, an American intervention in Iran is a strategic advantage. It forces the United States into a resource-heavy conflict in the Middle East, echoing the difficult position Russia faces in Ukraine. The proposed heist walks the United States into a situation designed to drain its military resources, while directly empowering its primary global rivals. As the limitations of a surgical heist become clearer, American rhetoric is shifting toward a much broader and more destructive set of options. If the uranium cannot be seized, current threats from the U.S. leadership suggest a pivot toward targeting Iran's core infrastructure to force the government's hand. These threats specifically name the national electrical grid, oil production sites, and the desalination plants that provide the country with its drinking water. Targeting these sites would have immediate humanitarian consequences. Hospitals would lose power, and millions of civilians would find themselves without access to clean water. This strategy creates a sharp contradiction in U.S. policy, as it relies on the same infrastructure targeting tactics that the United States has spent years condemning in the conflict in Ukraine. This destruction is being justified by the argument that inflicting suffering on Iranian civilians now is a necessary measure to prevent even greater bloodshed in the future. If these conventional attacks fail to secure the material, the ultimate fear is that a panicked Israel, unable to track Iran's hidden uranium, may resort to a preemptive nuclear strike of its own. The core reality remains that military force cannot easily erase the scientific threshold Iran has already crossed. Attempting to solve this problem with a physical heist or infrastructure bombing will not eliminate the threat. Instead, it is poised to trigger a regional conflict with no clear exit.